Hello, welcome to part 1 of our Nina Basics Guide. Reminder that this is game version 4.2. This first part will be essential tools, which will include essential moves, grabs, punishers, and basic combos. In part 2, we'll talk about common game plan elements and recommend some players to watch, as well as cap it off with a quick character summary. For beginners, note the resource links in the video description below. I've included several you should check out. Be sure to at least learn notation so that you can follow along easier. With that, let's talk about the other Williams sister. As always, we'll save Nina's stances for part 2, which will be her sway, crouch dash, and full crouch while standing moves, as well as her sidestep moves. Nina has a standard one too, but she has a bunch of different paths she can go down, along with string options on her 2 jab, which is also 10 frames. There aren't any straight up mid-low mix-ups, but they're still important to help freeze your opponent and get back some initiative. Otherwise, your opponent is facing some nasty potential counter hits. 1-2-4 and 2-4, for example, are counter hit launchers. 2-3 is another common one, delayable, and goes into a mid-knee that leads to a chain grab on hit, but generally she can delay or even cancel a lot of the routes, many of which have high rewarding enders, so these strings can put a lot of pressure on your opponent when mixed well, in addition to your normal jab harass. Nina has an I-11 Magic 4, already making it a good, safe counter hit launcher, but she also has follow-up options to help you get back some of that initiative again, although you sacrifice the juggle if you do that. But as we'll discuss in part 2, strings are really important for Nina, so the more you can mix in, the better. 1+4 is a safe I-15 double hit poke string, +4 on hit and forces crouch. You get a couple more plus frames on counter hit. Also gives a spike in the air, which you'll sometimes see at the wall for Oki, but overall a fairly simple, strong tool. Although unsafe, forward 2-1 is a high mid string with 2 enders. Forward 2-1-2 is your mid option that can counter hit launch. Forward 2-1-4 is your safe high launcher. Counter hit forward 2-1 is a natural combo, and the enders combo with the mid, so given how fast forward 2 is, if you're feeling really good about nabbing a counter hit, both 3-hit strings are a combo. Forward 2-1 is also good at catching duckers, just make note that forward 2-1 jails, however it's delayable and you'll have to delay it to unjail it, which is necessary to enable your opponent to duck. Regardless, the strings have high reward potential, and forward 2-1 alone can be enough to scare them into hesitancy. Forward 3 is a rangy I-14 knockdown splatting high, launches on counter hit, and a big +6 on block. It's 2 hits though, and the second hit can be ducked, so be careful abusing it, but it's still really good if you can place it well. Forward 1+2 is an I-17 mid power crush, knockdown splat on hit, fairly fast for a power crush and nice range, but -14 on block, so be careful with it, especially against characters with good 14 frame punishers. Otherwise, fairly simple to use tool. Down forward 1 is a safe I-13 generic mid poke. Similar to Anna's, Nina's down forward 1-2 is a mid-high natural combo that jails, and she also has a couple transitions after to keep your turn going and freeze your opponent a little bit. Down forward 2 is a safe I-15 mid launcher, generic down forward 2, so very strong. Note it won't launch crouchers unless counter hit, but you can otherwise spam it at will. Down forward 3 is an odd string starter because although it has a ton of string paths, the second hit will always be a high. However, down forward 3 is a rangy I-14 mid, and if you mix up your strings that have mids for the second hit, forward 2-1 being one such example, you can still make use of it. Or if you land down forward 3, whatever you choose for your second hit will combo. Regardless, if you can get them to block or eat that second hit, your options will explode afterwards. We won't go over them all, just know that much like her jab string, a lot of the routes can splat, launch, etc., so they can be very dangerous against impatient opponents. Down forward 4 is a safe, rangy I-12 mid poke, fairly generic but incredibly useful. Down forward 1+2 is a safe I-16 double mid. First hit is homing, but on hit it gives a spin state, so you'll either get big plus frames or a splat. Common at the wall after your wall combo, since it will beat a lot of get up options. Nina is funny in that she actually has crouch jab strings. Down 1-2 is a double crouch jab combo with an unsafe third hit, a kick, for even more cover. She also has the same down 1 neutral 4 combo as Anna. You won't get huge reward from these, but they are there if you want them and can again help freeze your opponent. Down 2 is an I-20 rangy high crushing low poke, only -12 on block, 0 on hit, big +5 on counter hit. You also have down 2-3, which is a knockdown splatting counter hit combo, very scary at the wall, and if the second hit lands counter hit by itself, it's a launcher. It can be ducked, so be careful, but down 2 is really strong, leaves you in full crouch as well for some full crouch while standing games. Down 3-2 is the big threat here. NCC launcher that starts with a high crushing I-16 low, -13 on block, but if they're really good at punishing that, it means they're not trying to duck down 3-4-3, which ends with a mid that's +2 on block, +5 on hit, and a launch on counter hit. Just be sure you're mixing the two options well and even stopping sometimes at just down 3 to keep them guessing. Nina has the generic toe kick, so that alone is useful for controlling the match, but she also has a second hit, down 4-1. It can be ducked, but in addition to providing cover on the toe kick, it's NCC, only 0 on block, which is solid for setups, +6 on hit, and you can cancel it into sidestep shenanigans. If the second hit happens to land counter hit by itself, you also get a free 1-4 follow-up for a nice chunk. Down back 2 is a safe, rangy knockdown splatting mid that's also homing and a counter hit launcher. This is an incredible move that does so much. Only big downside is the speed, but Nina plays a generally fast style, so you should have plenty of moments where your opponent has to slow down and then you can use it. Also, -5 on block doesn't completely end your turn, but it's bad enough that you're taking a big risk trying to swing afterwards, so be aware of that. Down back 3 is a chunky I-20 low poke, -13 on block but nasty +4 on hit, and a knockdown on counter hit for a free forward 1+2. Also tracks really well to her right, one of your primary low pokes for sure. Back 2-2 is a safe jailing I-12 natural combo. The jailing is a big deal, and although it has a third duckable hit, it has a fast cancel into a sidestep, or if they happen to swing into that third hit, it's a counter hit launcher. Really fast, useful straight. Back 3-4 is a safe mid-high natural combo, free follow-up on hit, really nasty Oki at the wall. The second hit is duckable, but it has a sizable confirm window, so be sure to practice that. Back 4 is a safe rangy I-14 high, +11 on hit, huge +18 on counter hit, which gives you a free back 1+4 or up forward 2-1 in the open. But even the normal hit at the wall still gives a free 1-4. Very dangerous move. Up forward 1 is a safe I-26 low crushing mid launcher. Yep, Nina has an orbital, although hers is a punch and it does suffer a little bit from weaker range, but it's still super good and you should use it as often as you can. Up forward 4 is an I-23 low crushing mid counter hit launcher, essentially a counter hit only orbital, but it's a little faster and has a big active window so you can actually get plus frames on block, which normally happens in Oki situations. This is important since it hits grounded, something up forward 1 doesn't do. On normal hit, it still gives chunky damage, gives big plus frames, and forces crouch. Down forward 4 is a high crushing power low, free forward 3 on hit, and a launch on counter hit. Extremely unsafe, but still very useful if they're being too mindless with their highs. Note that the full crouch version is a few frames faster and is typically viewed as unseeable, at least when placed well. Her low pokes are really good, but this is an important big damage threat to add to those. Running 1+2 is a low crushing knockdown splatting power mid, +4 on block, works similarly to a generic running 3, hers is just a power palm instead of a kick. Incredible move that you should use as often as you can. Nina's raise drive is essentially a better version of her running 1+2. It does a whopping 50 damage on hit and gives the big rolling hit, so good for a sprint mix-up afterwards. On block it gives +9, so a bit more advantage there, and you can go into her crouch dash for added pressure. The biggest buff is that it's just a simple forward input instead of forward, so it's a lot easier to use for instant offense. Lastly, grabs. Nina actually has a really stupid grab game. She has two 1+2 breaks, one of which can splat and the other giving good Oki. From neutral, she has a 1 break with down forward 1+3 and a 2 break with down forward 2+4. The former giving good Oki, the latter giving a free forward 3. She also has a 1 and 2 break from her crouch dash, both of which are the start of chain throws, which by the way, down forward 1 can be done from her crouch dash as well. She also has 1 and 2 break throws from her sway, along with a particularly nasty unbreakable grab in sway 2+3, which is another chain starter. A few of these also side switch on break, including her normals, making them very good for positional purposes, so you have plenty to work with to get a grab game started with Nina. This brings us to the end of part 1. You should now know all the basic tools that you need to get started and play some matches. In part 2, we'll talk more about other aspects of Nina's game plan to help put it all together. Expect that here in a couple of days. And with that, thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications here on YouTube so that you get alerted when a new video drops. Twitch and Twitter links are also down below. Lastly, huge thank you to our patrons. The more support we have, the more resources we can devote to channel content. So again, I can't thank everyone enough for considering supporting the Patreon. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.